Guys have been waiting. So we're going to talk about one classic story, and we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about. I guess they call it. What do they call that? Evergreen content. We'll talk a little bit about Cassidy Rainwater, a case that we covered a while back, and I think we have a few videos.
Oh yes.
About her up on our channel, but we'll talk about that a bit and give some more personal insight, personal background on that particular case.
Cassidy Rainwater is a story out of that. You gonna be okay? Cassidy Rainwater is a story. This poor girl out of the heartland.
Yeah, South Central Missouri.
Yes. So anyways, it's a done story. It's complete.
And we'll also go over a couple other topics. I'll do a little poll topic at the beginning. And then we'll talk a little bit of an update on what's going on in the.
You have surprised me with a poll
with the
oh boy,
Charlie Kirk assassination aftermath.
I don't know which is
and
the poll there.
Then we'll talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, which is the D4VD David guy case.
The Charlie Kirk assassin guy. We're going to talk about.
Yeah, I just said that.
I know you just said it, but you didn't say we're going to talk about his little transgender boyfriend.
Right. And also Charlie Kirk's widow. Sad news about that.
Up on her?
Anyway, then we'll also say a cool update on Jimmy Kimmel. And we'll also update you on those hunters who went missing in Colorado and then were found deceased. And we'll give a little update about the crazy guy that was arrested back, I don't remember how long ago. I guess it was when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail. And the guy got arrested at the golf course for having that gun, and he had duct tape sights on it or something.
The guy that had the gun I was talking about the other night with the duct tape scope.
Yes, and then I'll also, when we're talking about the D4VD, I had a live earlier today. Well, we had it live earlier today, and I was looking for my lyrics to his song Ghost, and I found them, and so I'll mention the excerpt of the most troubling part of that one. And I'm probably gonna also do a recap of the latest on Barrymore. If you I'm sorry,
Bear, I forgot the title of this video, guys.
I'm actually coming off of a cold or continuing to have one, I don't know. And I guess I gave it to my my sweet P2, and then we're sitting here, we got the fan on because he's hot, but I'm frozen, so I've had the heat on.
It's okay,
and
human.
I'm cuddled up in blankets.
You go ahead, human animal. You jump right in that comment section. You guys feel free to talk about anything you want.
And yeah, and we'll also go back over the discussion, whatever, so that we can interact with you guys also on whatever it is that you might be most interested in. I'm not a mind reader. I need those comments. Anyway, first off, the poll. It's because of news out of California.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, their governor, Gavin Newsom, put a ban on masks, concealing masks, going from here down or whatever, on ICE agents and police in the state of California. And then there was a response from the Department of Homeland Security at the highest level, who stated that they are not going to comply with that, and that the states don't have any authority over federal branches like ICE, and local law enforcement agencies in the state of California do have to comply with that, and it's going to be definitely fully in effect by next summer. There is some question whether the CHP, California Highway Patrol, is going to be required to do this. Gavin Newsom wants them to have to do this. So anyway, that's my poll question for you guys. It's, do you think law enforcement agents, state to federal, do you think they should have to have their faces uncovered, or do you think it is a safety issue and they need to have their faces covered?
Well,
Let us know in the comments.
it's not that they just have to, they're covering their faces. They do not identify themselves, their names, like traditional police.
They should at least, I think, at least have like a badge number or something, even if they don't put their name on there, because I do understand that there might be some sort of repercussions where people go after their families or something.
Yeah, well, all the police officers will identify themselves with their name, with their number. All you have to do is ask, and they are required, and they will give that information out.
Yeah. So
Hi, Karen.
So it'll be interesting to see what people think about that. Now, the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination, which was horrific. It was videoed, and thousands of people have seen it, and all around the world. Anyway, it appears that Lance Twiggs, the boyfriend, or he hasn't fully transitioned yet, so he is the boyfriend of the shooter. And it appears that the shooter contacted him like right after it happened, told him that he had left a note under the keyboard of their computer, and the note gave instruction kind of just admitting what he had done or was planning to do. And then there was a text message exchange between them that has been made public, where Lance Twiggs, the boyfriend, was like being shocked, and the shooter was confessing. Now, that exchange between them happened the day that Charlie was assassinated. It was 2 days later that the shooter was actually picked up after his family turned him in. And it turns out that Lance Twiggs, even though he'd been confessed to by his boyfriend, he did not report his boyfriend to law enforcement. So he could possibly be facing charges for that, or maybe he's got some kind of deal where he's cooperating fully. We don't know what's going on, because Lance Twiggs has not been seen since the day that the shooter, I'm not saying his name because I don't want to give him any fame. Anyway, the shooter was arrested. And that same day, Lance Twiggs was seen cooperating with first police and then FBI officers that showed up at the house. He sat on the lawn while they went in with explosive sniffer dogs and all that stuff, searched the house and all that. And then he left with law enforcement. And Lance Twiggs has not been seen since in public anywhere.
Maybe he's afraid, because there's been a lot of threats on this guy. Maybe he's in police witness protection.
Yeah, he could be. And he has been receiving lots of threats. And we've seen that there are like notes shoved in the crack of his front door. The packages of mail have been
take them out, mods. Take them out.
Creep over my shoulder. Are you talking?
Take them out.
Who are you? Are you talking about him, or are you talking about this? Because if you're talking about this, that's okay. But if you're talking about my mister, that's not okay.
Hide him from the channel. Do not let him back.
Yeah, my mister is not a creep. Anyway, where'd I go with that? Gotta look at my notes and try to read my own handwriting. Anyway, Lance went away with law enforcement, hasn't been seen since. Neighbors have told various news agencies that Lance will be killed if he returns to the neighborhood, so that's a good reason for him not to come back. Lance is a plumber. His vehicle is still there in his regular parking spot, and he's got his he's still got his tools in there. He's a plumber.
Human animal yourself. You're so vocal.
And
She hit that guy. Yeah.
oh, good. Anyway, I like how she said, "See, I didn't want to be you." Anyway, so the tools are still in there.
His
The lights,
lunchbox is still in there with
Oh.
his sandwich. Remember?
the sandwich wrapper, and his drink and stuff are still in the car, and the lights in the house are still on, have not turned off at all since the day that the shooter was arrested, the last day that Lance Twiggs was ever seen. And let's see, the property is family owned. I think it's by his grandpa. It's a $320,000 condominium, and it appears no one in the family has been to the property either. But obviously there are threats floating around and stuff, and that's not right. And I don't even know whether he actually knew Tyler's plan, or even suspected there was a plan like this before it happened. There is proof that he knew about it after it happened, but anyway, Twiggs did not turn Tyler in, so that in itself is a crime, because he was told that Tyler did this, and it took 2 days.
Thank you.
And then so my question to you guys is, what do you think? Do you think Twiggs is in police protection, or do you think he's hiding out, or do you think he's been arrested? That's another thing to comment.
Ooh, let us know.
Yep. And then the news about Jimmy Kimmel is that his suspension has been lifted after he's had a week of talks with Disney, that's the parent company that owns him. And they said that the reason why they had pulled him was that his comments were ill-timed, which made them insensitive, and that they talked with him about it, and they have negotiated his return. He'll be back on Tuesday. But some affiliates are, sticking to their guns, or so to speak, and are saying that they may continue to refuse to air Jimmy Kimmel, even though Disney has approved him to be back on the air. So that's a little something to be watching too, but it's good news in my mind anyway, that freedom of speech is being upheld, and that Disney has recognized and gone public saying this was freedom of speech. Some people thought it was in poor taste because of the timing, but that he was in his rights to say whatever he said, just that they didn't want to be affiliated with it.
And freedom of speech when they banned Jimmy Kimmel.
Ooh, Nano says, or maybe he did himself in.
I don't know why that got hidden, but YouTube hid that, so I'm just going to leave it hidden. Okay, Jimmy Kimmel was banned, and they wanted him to make a donation. Apparently, he did not.
No, there was no donation or anything like that. That was not part of the deal.
Disney lost a lot of money on the deal. People were unsubscribing all their services. They lost billions of dollars on that. So free speech, apparently.
Yeah, and now we'll move on to those hunters. There were a pair of elk hunters who had gone missing while hunting here in Colorado, and then sometime later their remains were found at a very high elevation, between 10 and 12,000 foot level, and people want to know what happened to them. Well, the complete report has come out, and what happened was they were struck by lightning, and that was the cause of their deceasedness. And lightning strike injuries or deaths in Colorado are fairly common. We average 2 lightning strike deaths and 12 serious injuries from lightning strikes a year. And these hunters were Andrew Porter and Ian Stasko, and they were killed by that lightning strike. And then advice for anyone else that's going to come visit Colorado or anything. If you're up there at the higher elevations above 9,000 feet and you see clouds getting taller than they are wide, you need to immediately get down to a lower elevation, and you need to avoid storms that are up at the higher elevations. You need to get in a vehicle that has a metal roof or get into a cabin. A tent will not be an adequate shelter. You need to seek shelter, and at a lower elevation need to get the heck out of there. Don't get caught in storms.
Do not carry your rifles on your back, as it may very well attract lightning.
Yeah, you probably are better off not carrying metal, and if you are doing that sort of thing, at least wear bright reflective clothing so that you're easier to find.
Yes.
Next, that attempted assassin of Donald Trump when he was a presidential candidate at the golf course. And I remember thinking it was really crazy at the time because it showed that like he had a scope typed onto his weapon. And anyway, the guy's name is Ryan Ruth, and today he was convicted on 5 charges associated with trying to kill Trump. And during the reading of the verdicts, he was continually trying to jab himself in the neck with a pen, and it almost looked like he was having a seizure going. Anyway, U.S. Marshals quickly disarmed him from the pen and took him out of the courtroom while his daughter was yelling to him that she loved him and for him to stop doing that. Wow. And so he's a little bit unhinged, but probably not so unhinged that he's, obviously not so unhinged that he would be found innocent by any means. And a thing that's kind of funny about the guy is that when he was arrested, he babbled to the police saying that he had no intent to kill, and that that they couldn't be arresting him for an assassination attempt because he didn't have intent.
Yeah.
Except he had a handwritten letter that he had left there at the scene, written by him in his handwriting, signed by him, that said this was an assassination attempt.
With an SKS, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With a duct tape scope.
Yeah.
SKS don't work very well with a scope to begin with. And if you're going to be using tape to hold the scope on to an SKS, that's not going to work.
I don't think he actually fired it, because I think that it was seen by agents that were on the job, and they spotted the barrel. And
that's what they're claiming. They saw the barrel leaning up against the fence. That's what they're claiming.
And now we'll get into a little bit more of that D4 VD guy, David, and Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who her body was found in the front trunk of the
Thank you.
Yeah, I think cute. He's cute.
You're cute. Apparently.
Mm-hmm. And and she was found in the trunk the day after her 15th birthday, but the decomposition shows that she never made it to her 15th birthday, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And we now know that she had run away 3 times to be with David. 1 time she returned on her own. 1 time she was returned by law enforcement. And the final time she never returned. She was found in the trunk of the Tesla, and apparently inside a bag, and she was wrapped in plastic inside the bag.
What kind of bag do you think that was? A big giant black bag?
Yeah, it appeared to be, because I saw some footage from the news stations that were showing the aerial view of when the frunk was first popped open and stuff, and it appeared to be a big black bag. Anyhow, also from that case, we learned that the first time Celeste Rivas Hernandez ran away with D4VD, David, she was 13 years old, and it was Valentine's Day, which was February of 2024, which just happens to be the same month that the manager rented that home for David in the Hollywood Hills.
$20,000 a month.
$20,000 a month rent.
So obviously he was successful.
Yeah, and David and his manager have now broken their lease and are in the process of moving out. Let's see, it was by 17th is when they broke their lease. Right. The house was searched on the 12th, I believe. Anyway, the house was searched on the 12th. Law enforcement says that they were there for at least 12 hours searching for blood evidence and whatnot.
The black lights and the luminol are going to tell some stories, and the computer forensics.
Yeah, they got a computer, they got tablets and cell phones. They're getting as much digital evidence as they can, and they're building a timeline, and and here's a thing that David could be facing. It turns out that sexting or persuading kids to perform acts or get naked online, if they are age 13 or under, it's the same punishment and the same charge and everything as if you had completed an act with them. It is considered the full-on, full deal, even if you never met in person. So,
dude,
and David obviously did meet her in person. There's video footage of it. There are posts about it. There is so much evidence, and so many people were trying to call attention to it and trying to get somebody in law enforcement or something to look into it and do something about David. Ever since
what was that TikToker guy?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Another TikTok, in my earlier one, I brought you information from a different TikToker. This one's Ethan, and his TikTok is Ethan with like 3 N's and an underscore and an M. And on December 14th of 2024, he commented on David messing around with a 13-year-old child and in Lake Elsinore, and was commenting and sharing photos of David giving thousands of dollars to classmates of Celeste in the neighborhood, and David was a 6-minute walk from the house where Celeste was living at the time when he was giving out these stacks of cash, thousands of dollars. And
do you think that kid that was standing there had that brown paper bag? Do you think that was full of cash, or that's just coincidental?
Who knows what all was in it? We just know that there was lots of cash being given to junior high students for them to keep quiet about David's relationship with Celeste.
Hit that like button. When do you guys think that he's going to be arrested for this? There is tons of evidence.
Or for any of the other stuff related to it, because we don't even know yet what her cause of death is. That's been deferred.
Oh, dude.
So we don't know if it's just a suspicious death or whether it is a homicide.
Speaking of her, Celeste.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember what we found out tonight?
That her body has now been released.
She's been released now, guys.
So they have, everything they need to run the tests and everything, and her remains have been released, and so her family's going to be able to lay her to rest.
Yeah, give us some likes. That would be awesome.
Oh, also we learned that that rental home, it has security cameras inside and out, and especially at um, entrances or exits or whatever you want to say. So they should have um, evidence of who all has been in and out of the house
It
since David rented it.
could have been just a party goer did something.
Yeah.
You know, just some guy that rolled in there off the street.
And then somehow
Somehow.
got a hold of David's car keys in David's car and put Celeste in the trunk of David's car
Well,
and parked it on the street and moved it around the neighborhood
repeatedly.
Without David ever reporting that the car was missing or anything suspicious of his car hopping around the
You're
neighborhood.
shutting down my theory. Okay. So, anyways, she was reported 120 pounds. The girl they found was 71 pounds. Okay. Rumor has it that she was dismembered. Or
And Humana was right on your idea too, though. Maybe lots of people drove David's cars, and that is a possibility. And since it is a Tesla, there's cameras also that ought to show who was driving that car and who put Celeste in the trunk of the car, the frunk.
the frunk. That's a new thing. We just learned it was called the frunk.
So I think for sure they're going to be able to prove that David had improper relationship with this child and that he would be facing charges for that, but unclear whether he's going to be charged at all with her death. And yeah, it's entirely possible that it was someone other than David who killed her.
Could have been.
But but then there's just the fact that
But if
he
he
didn't.
was so in love with her, wouldn't he wonder where she was? Do you think?
The lyrics to his songs just kind of bother me a bit, and that's why I was going to tell you these lyrics from Ghost. Oh, why don't you love me is the first line. And then the chorus is, he might have you, but I've got your ghost, and we both know that's the real you. And God knows it's true. I love you the most, but we both know what I have to do.
Dude.
And then the next line that concerns me is, eyes looking right through me. Why? Why can't I hear your heartbeat? So that just seems a bit telling to me, because if she were deceased and he was seeing her eyes open when she's deceased, it would look like she was looking right through him, and then not being able to hear her heartbeat, and then hearing and reading some of his other lyrics where he's mentioning drug use, and that apparently she liked to get high with him. I'm thinking too that there's a possibility that there was an overdose, and maybe that's why her eyes were looking right through him, and he couldn't hear her heartbeat. But in that case, he would have been guilty of being there when there was a overdose and not doing anything about it and not reporting a death. And then there's the whole thing about her ending up in the trunk. I don't know. We're going to keep following this case and see what happens with it. But he had been grooming her since she was 11 years old.
3 years?
And there has been a lot of stuff coming forward now, kids that screenshotted and conversations or screen trapped video chats and such with them we know that he and she began an online friendship when she was 11, and that would have put him at around 16. And then the first time that they met in person, she was probably about 12, and she was 13 the first time she ran away with him.
But she run away 3 times.
She ran away 3
And
times.
the media is saying that she has a running away habit or something. Remember?
Yeah, some people are trying to put a spin on it to make it, they're trying to blame the family and things like that. And I'm not into victim blaming. And no matter what her home life was, her family reported her missing every single time and tried to get her back every single time. And they are deeply grieving her loss. And yes, online video games and just these different online platforms are a PDF files playground. They're all over that.
Sorry,
There are adults in there trying to play with and talk with little kids, like Roblox. Oh my gosh.
Dude, don't let your kids
I
on
always
Roblox.
Yeah, do not. Or at least don't let them be on it unless unless you are sitting right there next to them, because I went through sitting there with my kiddos and seeing that there were adult people trying to have conversations with my kids. And that's just creepy. And before there was Roblox, there was this thing called Club Penguin, and that also had adults in there trying to
little penguins
play with the kids and stuff, and it's just sick. And actually, the other day I unfriended someone on my Xbox because I knew that they were an adult and we had played some online games together, and then all of a and I knew from just them talking in game chat and talking about their lives with everybody that was in there. I knew that they are older, around 50, and I knew that they have no children. And then I saw on the Xbox thing that they were playing Roblox on their computer, because it said what platform they were using, and they were playing Roblox. And I'm like, nope, not going to be friends with you.
So YouTube likes us to keep this child friendly, even though this is an adult topic. So if your comment gets out and you don't see it, it's YouTube did it, not me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if YouTube deems it too toxic, they'll hold it, and I don't second guess what YouTube does. So just make your comments like for children.
And Edie also agrees and said that she did the same with her kids, and there was no tech in their bedrooms, only in the common area. Yeah, that's what we did. Even to the point where we had a couple different televisions on the walls in the common rooms so that everybody could be online at the same time playing their games, and there was no secrets. There was no PDF files getting a hold of our kids.
Well, we're true crime, so...
Yeah, that's another thing. People that maybe some people are not as savvy about it because they're not like all into true crime and knowing all the darkness that's out there. But we're very suspicious people, so we're like, why are you looking at my kid? Like, for instance, go to the playground and you see somebody and they're taking pictures, and then you notice that they're taking pictures of your kid. Well, yeah, it's a public place and all that. But it's like, why are you taking pictures of my kid?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be taking pictures of people's children. Even though...
it's just common courtesy. We turn our cameras off or turn them around or whatever if kids come on to
you don't
our
see
screen.
any children in my videos. Nope.
And yes, we try disguising words by saying different things like I say PDF files. They allow PDF files and
P3DO.
P3DOs.
That's about as elaborate as we get.
Yeah.
Are we
Because
finished
there's other
talking
trips.
about all of our current topics,
And-
current events?
Yeah, and so now,
Smashy the like button.
either Barry or Cassidy, which one next?
You got something to say about Bear?
Yeah, just because I'm annoyed at Bear and those latest documents, and how he was crying wah wah about people taking his picture or zooming in on his published photos or anything like that, and that he said it causes emotional distress. And so I'm encouraging people to cause more emotional distress by, if you have any photos of Bear looking particularly out of sorts, or if you have any AI of Bear that you want to play with or anything, please share them, and we'll all share them and put them out there, because Bear's got feelings.
We can photograph Bear. He is an adult, and if he is in public, guys, if he can be seen.
Yeah, I just recommend that you don't get real close to him, or don't talk to him.
Yes, he is
because
dangerous.
he is dangerous. There's no two bones about
We might
that.
sugarcoat him, call him Bear, but he has been accused of some vile stuff.
Yeah,
guys.
I like to especially to be a thorn in his side, because he's tried to put pressure on me, and stuff like that, to the point where
he just
I
put
decided
himself on the court system again.
Yeah.
For I don't know how many times he's attacked.
Yeah, a picture of the two of us just
like
sitting
this.
there. Yeah, us just like this, doing one of our live streams, and they just put that into a court
What
document.
he was so mad about? Because remember, you guys were all thinking, hey, is he getting out of jail? Is he posting bail? So we called the jailhouse.
Yeah, and so they posted a picture of us on the, when I was on the phone and everything, and they posted a picture of us, and labeling the channel and everything, going, ooh, they were annoying. When we were 100% in our right to record it and everything, it was public information. It's just
not like I went inside of his house when he wasn't there and took his picture.
Yeah, it's not like I went creeping up to his house and peeped in the window and looked at him sleeping and took a picture of him or something.
We have the right to call the jailhouse and see who is in custody.
And if you see him out in public, you have the right to take a picture or video of him, because for one thing, he is now a public figure.
Oh yes.
And also that the law is very clear in favor of bloggers and vloggers and all that if it's in public view, from public view,
dude,
it's fair game.
And you know what else? You can take a picture from the street without trespassing. If you can see it from the street and his windows and his curtains are open, you better get them closed up, baby.
Yeah, because that's also
News
illegal.
People are going to come by.
So
they're going to get him.
So that's just a little thing I was going to say about
Barry.
Barry.
Stay a little bit far away from Barry, though.
Oh, and I also, want to go to bat for JLR again. Bear seems to be gunning for JLR, and he had this whole big giant doxing him and talking about his past and all this stuff for no apparent reason, just to put it in there, just to kind of be threatening or whatever, because there was nothing illegal about anything that they were writing about JLR investigates.
JLR can say what he wants to.
Yeah, he's entitled to have opinions. It's his First Amendment right.
We support him.
Yeah, we support him. And it just was annoying that Bear went after him, and also went after Matt Black, but didn't really do any dive into Matt Black or anything, unlike what they've done to.
I don't know why they held that one. That's okay.
Yeah. For some reason, YouTube itself held the comment that said more like chasing Suzanne. So I don't know why that's.
But since they hid it, guys, I can't second guess YouTube, so it's going to have to remain hidden for some reason.
Yeah, because we don't want to get
We are governed by YouTube.
the YouTube powers that be.
If they say don't show this, then I don't think we should second guess them.
And so, yeah, that's.
So we're done talking about Barry now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it for Bear. And now I thought we would just talk about an old case of ours, which is the Cassidy Rainwater case, and give a little bit more.
If you know who Cassidy Rainwater is. This is a horrendous story out of Missouri, out by about where, Bolivar or Buffalo, Missouri, over near Lebanon, Missouri. Windyville, Missouri. Fishing access.
And anyhow, the reason why Cassidy Rainwater's case, Karen Lee doesn't know who she is, so we'll begin at the beginning.
She's a
First off, we were interested in Cassidy
Sorry. Okay.
In Cassidy Rainwater's case because Cassidy Rainwater is the daughter of Tracy Wawusik, and Tracy Wawusik happened to be a person who we were involved in the search for, because like I mentioned before, we did search and rescues like all around, and we happened to be in Missouri at the time that she was reported missing. Apparently she had gone arrowhead hunting. Put you on so I can cough off screen.
No, she doesn't want to be recorded coughing.
Okay. Anyway, her boyfriend reported that Tracy had disappeared while the two of them were arrowhead hunting in a creek, and we could not find her. There was a big search, and she was not found. And then, like a year later, a farmer downstream was plowing his field, and he came across a boot with a human bone inside of it. And it was later determined that tissue belonged to Tracy Wawusik, and that is the only...
It makes sense, human.
And that was the only...
I don't know about the math debate part of it, but if you say it over and over and over, what he wrote, it makes sense. Okay, well, we found her boot with a foot in it.
Yeah, and
in rural Missouri.
In rural Missouri, and it was ruled death by misadventure. The boyfriend eventually was deceased, and then 20 years later, her daughter, Cassidy Rainwater, was reported missing in
nearby.
Yeah, not I was trying to figure out exactly how far, but not real far, like
not real far. I mean, what, 20, 30 miles maximum?
20 or 30 miles from where her mother had gone missing 20 years earlier. Cassidy Rainwater was reported missing. Cassidy Rainwater was in her 30s, and she was divorced or going through a divorce, and she had kids, and the kids were with their dad, and Cassidy was between jobs, was home free like us, and she met up with, and probably they were family friends, since the property that they were living on was adjacent to Cassidy's grandpa's property. Anyhow, the guy's name is James Phelps, and he also is an ordained minister, and he had a sometime roommate but all-time best friend named Timothy Norton.
These guys are
bastards. These two guys, yeah. And Timothy Norton was over-the-road trucker, and these two guys would hang out together, and they would case local Walmarts and stuff for victims, according to them, they're the ones that went and said this, but they haven't admitted to doing anything to anybody else, although they claim that they went hunting women at these different locations for long periods of time. But anyhow, in the case of Cassidy, they offered her a place to stay, told her she could stay in the loft of the cabin where they lived. And Cassidy was staying with them, and they were even driving her to her meetings with her kids, because she had to go to the family services building to have meetings with her kids. She had had a little drug issue in the past and stuff, and was working through it, was getting clean, and so she was having supervised visits with her kids. Well, she missed a supervised visit with her kids, which she never did. And so her aunt ordered a well-being check because she knew where Cassidy had been staying. And law enforcement went over there and met up with Jim Phelps, who told them, oh, yeah. She had been here, but she took off in the middle of the night about a month ago. She met some guy at the end of the driveway. How did he know it was a guy out there at the end of the driveway? But anyway, he said she met up with a guy at the end of the driveway, and I think she was going back to Denver because she had lived in Denver in the near past. And so law enforcement just left, and we're like, okay, no sign of Cassidy over there. She had been there, but she was gone. And then came the anonymous report. Someone contacted the FBI telling them that they had seen images on the dark web of a woman named Cassidy being held and tortured in an animal cage. And they sent the photos on to the local police, who looked at it and did realize that this was Cassidy Rainwater, and she was partially clothed, and there were some images of her being dismembered. And so they went back to that property.
They knew.
Armed with that
background. They recognized the scenery.
Yeah, they recognized the scenery and everything too. They recognized that it was definitely, even though there was nobody else in the photos except for Cassidy, they recognized the background as being Jim Phelps' cabin and a cage that they had seen in his yard, and the gantry crane from his yard, which is a gantry crane is kind of like a lift that, for instance, hunters would raise up a deer by its ankles after they've hunted it so that they could dress it out. Anyhow, that's going to come into play. So they came back to the house. Jim Phelps is sitting there eating a sandwich at the table, and they show him the photos.
Oh, he was eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
Did they take that sandwich into evidence?
I'm not sure if they took the sandwich into evidence. And also, we have learned that he had a barbecue and had fed some of his neighbors barbecued ribs. He had been known to raise pigs and supply meat to a local market and giving away meat to people.
Okay, Cammy was hidden.
So then they confront James Phelps, and he tells them, "Oh, go ahead and look for her." And they look around, and they're gathering up some evidence and stuff. And they also ask him for his phone, and they get his phone, and they look in his phone, and he's got photos in more detail, but are of Cassidy and are, the same photo that also included the same photos that they had been sent from the dark web. And so he was arrested, and they processed the home, and they discovered packaged meat. And the packaged meat was in butcher wrap paper, and it was labeled with Cassidy and the date, which was the date that he said that he had last seen her alive when she took off. And eventually they arrested Timothy Norton as well. And Timothy Norton sang like a bird and said that what had happened was James Phelps had felt that Cassidy may have ripped him off or something. So he started keeping her in this big animal cage and partially clothed. And who knows what all he had been doing to her, but he'd been doing it for a little while. And then he had called Timothy Norton to come to the house saying that he needed some help with Cassidy. And at that point, Timothy Norton said that he held Cassidy's legs and stuff while Jim Phelps did his thing, which included suffocating Cassidy to death. Then the two men carried her out to the gantry crane and hung her up and bled her out and stuff. And then they took her back in to the cabin, to the bathroom, where they hung pieces of her on the meat hooks that were in the bathroom over the tub. And they butchered her.
Thank you, Karen.
And, wrapped up the meat and stuff and packaged it up and froze it and stuff. And and all this stuff was also posted to the dark web. And it appears that while this didn't make it into the trial, because the guys did do plea deals instead, pleading guilty, and they did not get the death penalty, they both are serving life.
They made a deal so they wouldn't have to admit what they had done.
They made a deal so they would not have to admit what all they did. And yeah, I have spoken personally to one of the neighbors who is sickened to think that the pork barbecue ribs that she had may have been Cassidy ribs. Dude. Disgusting. And see, the worst of the case is never going to come to light because the law enforcement didn't want it to, and the men didn't really want it to. But there were several things that also seemed to link these guys to another case called the Springfield Three, which is a woman and two teenage girls who all disappeared out of their home in Springfield, Missouri. And, no remains of them have ever been found. Their purses were still at the house. Their dog was still at the house. We'll go into that story another time. So that's the Cassidy Rainwater case.
We have 3 videos on the channel.
Yeah, and we've been there. We're very familiar with the area. We've been there many times. It does have kind of a creepy feel to it in that area because that area of Windyville also has the reputation of being haunted. And we did go... One of our little sidelines, besides liking true crime, one of our sidelines is we also like checking out areas that are reported to be haunted or have hauntings or some other natural things that are not really explainable. And yeah, it's a very spooky and isolated area, and it just had this feel to it when we went there.
Yes, there is a lot of trouble in Missouri. There's another girl up out of Lake of the Ozarks.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to because, yes, there is a lot of stuff in Missouri. And another thing about Missouri is the terrain and the vegetation, and how there's kind of different regions that have different types of things. Oh, Echo Lloyd.
Yes, Echo Lloyd.
Yeah, she's from over near Warsaw, which is also on one of Timothy Norton's driving routes, but I don't think that he had anything to do with Echo. I think what happened to Echo had to do with a neighbor guy who I I better not say anything
Law
about him at the
enforcement
moment.
over there just doesn't want to admit that there's anything dark happening.
Yeah, for example, Savannah, that little girl who, um,
Oh, what's Savannah? That's in Missouri as well.
yeah, and
Did a video on
her
that.
her mother's last name is Rude, Ruud, and she was found not guilty of doing anything wrong to her daughter, but the facts of the case are that she had done a private adoption of her daughter to some people that lived in Minnesota. Then those people got divorced, and so the daughter was sent to live with the mother again. And eventually, the daughter's parts of the daughter's charred remains were found in the remains of a trash bonfire pit on the property of the mother. And, she was found not guilty of any wrongdoing, even though she had confessed to other inmates saying that she had unalived her daughter and that her daughter was still alive when she ended up in that burn pit. And, but the courts just didn't see it that way. And so she wasn't found guilty of doing any wrongdoing.
Small town.
Yeah.
Sweeping things under the rug. Yeah, we would like to know.
And we would very much like to know what happened to Echo Lloyd.
And then there's that man that's went missing. Remember, Kit always talks about?
Oh, Timmy Dees.
Yeah.
Timmy Dees was killed at a party in Missouri, and no one will talk, and his mom wants justice for him. He also was ruled a death by misadventure, if I recall correctly, even though also at the same house where he was partying, another young man was found hung in the attic. But it's a wealthy guy's home, a wealthy guy, well-to-do with connections in the county, and so nothing happening.
We probably could go on and on and on about Missouri crime.
Mark Fullerton. Mark Fullerton was a young man, a dad, good guy who lived with kind of a trashy woman, and Mark had his teeth all pulled. It was in the process of getting his dental implants, and so the day that he came home from that, he went to bed, and he's never been seen since. The girlfriend says that he got up and he vomited, and she got mad at him, and so she said he stormed off and never came back. That that this guy who had just had this dental surgery and everything, she's claiming he took off on a gravel road barefoot, wearing nothing but a pair of shorts.
Dude, you can't walk around out there in those dirt roads barefoot.
Right, and that's the last, and his cross necklace that he never was without, that was found on the floor in the living room of their shared home.
Which states border Missouri? Mm-hmm. Arkansas to the south, Illinois to the north.
No,
yes.
Iowa to the north. Illinois is off to the
northeast.
Northeast kind of. It's St. Louis has part of it in Missouri and part of it in Illinois.
And Oklahoma to the west.
And Kentucky, there's a piece of Kentucky down by the Boot Heel. And there's Kansas and Nebraska to the west.
Not Oklahoma?
Yeah, Oklahoma too, also down there at that 40, other corner. Yeah.
44.
Yeah, also Oklahoma.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, how about the girl on the 70? The teenager girl that went out to the truck stop in the convenience store, and she was found. Do you remember her? I can't remember her name. We did a story on her though.
How long ago?
Oh man, 2-3 years ago.
Um,
Lots of crime in that state.
yeah. Are you talking about Amber? Amber Killian?
Well, is she pregnant?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she met a guy online. She was pregnant, and she and her boyfriend got a sideline by the father of her unborn, had a sideline of having her meet up with guys online, spend a little time with them, and get cash for that. And this was on Thanksgiving, and she never came back. And police didn't do a very thorough search for her. It was the boyfriend and the dad and mom of her that ended up finding her about 2 blocks from their home in some underbrush, and she had been stabbed to death. And fortunately, the guy who did it ended up confessing because he didn't want to put anybody through anything, and so he took a plea deal where he confessed and agreed to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And it appears that he's claiming that what happened was she reminded him of his ex-wife, who he was recently divorced from, and his anger at his ex-wife overwhelmed him, and he lost control of himself and took her life.
Terrible. We've done almost all of these stories on the channel. We've done them in full with videos and footage and full production videos if you guys want to go back and check those out.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while. We've just been not doing that since we started doing old Bear.
Yeah.
He's been really a time-consuming guy.
Mm-hmm. And a thorn on the side, and the doxing and all that, which we don't have to worry about anymore either, since we lost the house now anyway.
And we can just go be homeless.
Yeah, and we can go anywhere, and we can be on scene pretty much anywhere. We're definitely going to be on scene for Bear's trial, and I've heard that a few of you guys are also going to make your way to Colorado for that, and so maybe we can have campfire together and stuff, and have a meetup while doing the Bear thing.
A lot of stories out of the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of stories out of Washington State. They never seem to break the borders of Washington. They're oftentimes held within the state.
Oh yeah,
borders.
the Washington stories often don't make it out of Washington.
Very quiet.
And the Idaho 4 case made it all over the place because it was Idaho and not Missouri. And not Washington. Idaho's had some pretty
thanks to
ones
East
too.
Idaho News, I think they blow things up.
Yeah.
And they tell everybody, like that little girl.
Shasta Groening.
Oh.
And,
hit
her
that
brother
like button, everybody.
Well,
We're going to jump out of here in a few minutes. What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, you should.
We've done a lot of content on this
Let's see if there was any questions anywhere.
No, there's no questions.
No questions? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Human animals in there. When she's going to go live, show us some Australia footage. I hope it's not like 3 a.m. here.
And Carolyn thinks that the RV life is pretty cool. We used to do it just for fun, not for and now it's gonna be our life for a while, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's just because my wife, she needed all kinds of medical care, and that was
it's my fault. No,
very expensive.
But seriously, we're thinking about doing some more videos, like when we have a campfire, or maybe some of our cooking and stuff in the RVs and stuff, if people like that at all.
Cooking with true crime and campfires. What do you think?
Just chit-chatting with you guys. Well, what do you guys think? Would you like that?
East Idaho News is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any more stories? I think we've exhausted everything that we're ready to speak
for tonight,
about.
anyway.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Hanging out with us.
It's Fluffy Bunny here. Oh, hi, Fluffy
Hey,
Bunny.
Fluffy Bunny.
Haven't seen you in a long time. 7 a.m. in the UK, I imagine. I forget where you live. Sounds like over there around Bath or something. I don't know. I have no idea where you are, Fluffy Bunny. But since it's 7 a.m., kind of much gives it away. You're in the UK somewhere.
Yeah.
East Coast. Afternoon.
Yep, UK.
Oh, Vinny. East Coast in Australia. Human animal. She's somewhere. Isn't she?
She's somewhere. You're somewhere, aren't you?
I don't know if she's East Coast.
Brisbane.
But yeah.
Yeah. Which I always get all confused about Australia because
yeah, we can get that.
I've seen maps of it that have been put in different funny orientations, so I don't really know which. I think Brisbane's on the east side,
somewhere, she says. Told you she was somewhere. We watched her the other day. She's talking about those parakeets, I think.
Oh my gosh. I love budgies. We used to have some budgies, and when we go to the zoo, I like to go sit in the budgie enclosure, the aviary, and they let you buy little sticks of feed and with peanut butter or something, sticking it to the sticks, and you can hold, and the budgies will land on it and stuff like that. And I love that, and and I'm paying to do that. And then I see footage out of Australia where budgies are considered pests, and they're just like all over the place and swarming people's vehicles, and I'm just like, what?
Yes, but we have bear here in Colorado. We have wild bear.
And wild bear.
And we have moose and elk and mountain lions and raccoons and a lot of stuff here, dude.
And like our little Quill, he lived 2 years beyond what hedgies are supposed to live, but he passed away a while back. But we shared him on the channel, and it was funny because to us he was an exotic pet. He was a African pygmy hedgehog, and then it turns out that they're really common, and people were telling us,
in the UK, they were telling us.
Yeah, they were saying that would be like you guys having a pet chipmunk or squirrel.
Oh, Barry and his chipmunks.
And I was like,
yeah, he's like chipmunks.
Yeah,
Chipmunks can terrorize a house, apparently.
They never bothered me because
we don't have them right here. Here you go.
Holy cow!
Read that one.
Which trial is that? Let's see.
It's not covered. It's only down there.
Okay. A trial where Danielle was a beautiful girl, age 27. Kennedy was 2 days old when her daddy threw her into the Mississippi River, and Danielle was shot. So a family annihilation then. And I hope they've got him dead to rights, and that he's going to get whatever he's got coming to him. Ugh, I hate family annihilators. I especially abhor people who harm children, and also I abhor Barry Morphew.
Mississippi River. Wow. Went there the other day, remember?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the other day. It was a while back.
Oh, the baby was never even found.
So
they don't even know
tiny.
if the
That's a
baby's alive
huge body of water. All right.
Danielle Hoyle is the mom that was shot and her baby was thrown in the...
I don't have a pen. I
We're
just
right
got that highlighter.
I like to know
So
that.
anyways, we'll be back tomorrow, I imagine, talking about some current stuff. We've been spending a lot of time on current events. Even if they're political, we might talk about it a little bit. But this is not a political channel.
What was the dad's name, the guy that's on trial? The guy that killed Danielle Hoyle and the baby. I'd like to research that case and be able to be on par with you.
Brandon Isabel is on trial for killing Danielle and the baby Kennedy. Yeah, we're currently not capable of streaming trials like we used to.
Yeah, we used to have a whole computer set up and all that stuff, and now
we will be putting
using our phones.
Some more pictures and stuff in these videos to come later on this winter. We will be. Get something for you guys to look at. Okay. Well, thank you for that tidbit of information. We're going to get out of here. It's been 1 hour and 11 minutes. We need some likes. I didn't title the video properly. It only says Another Day in the Car is live. I forgot to label it. I made the mistake.
Why are you not on camera?
I am. See, right here, guys.
Yeah, your arm.
My wife.
Anyway, it's been nice visiting with all of you guys. Memphis, Tennessee is where it happened. What's my pen?
We don't have any other stories right off the deck.
Memphis, Tennessee. Okay.
What does this say? Fluffy bunny.
What?
What? Why is that held? Wait.
Okay, for some reason, YouTube just held... YouTube is broken, because they just held a comment from Fluffy Bunny that says, I hope they are too humanimal. And it's like...
We're going to leave that hidden, though, so just know that we see it.
So, and you know, and that's what it's... And that's what it says, but we're going to leave it alone, because we don't know how come it got
I hope they
hidden.
are, too. So you didn't do anything wrong with that. YouTube is just weird.
YouTube's weird, and sometimes it just...
We don't actually get freedom of speech on YouTube. We do, as long as we keep it like 6th grade level, and we keep it like
within community guidelines.
I don't want to see. I mean, we have to keep it like G-rated.
Community guidelines, and sometimes they're kind of
PG
weird,
maybe.
even though I mark all my videos as being not for kids and all that stuff.
What? I don't know.
Notification warning. Community violation reported. Permanent ban will ensue if live video does not end within 5 minutes. Well, it will end right now, and then we'll look into what all this is.
Good night.
Good night, guys.